Hello everybody, and welcome back to the extras of the Kingdom Hearts HD Dream Drop Distance playthrough. Today we are going to be going through every single Flick Rush tournament. Yeah, you heard me right, every single one. You may have noticed that everything on the screen is moving a lot faster than it would do normally, and that is because I have, sped everything up. Because, I mean, going through all of these fights, it did probably last me a good hour and a half, 2 hours, I think, in total, going through every single one of these. So, yeah, it made sense that rather than making, you sit through that much footage, I clumped it all together, sped it up, and we have the Flick Rush part. And one thing you'll notice also is that there's a certain team that I end up creating, slowly but surely, but it's a very, very effective team, and it involves Connor, the Tyrannosaurus, Elle, the Pegaslick, and then I can't remember who my final member was. I believe it might be Veronica, the Meebe Bunny. But particularly Connor and Elle done absolute wonders throughout these tournaments, because their particular moveset that they have from Flick Rush is just really, really helpful for tackling most things. So, I suppose should probably start with actually taking you through some of the key basics of how you tackle Flick Rush. Obviously, we did actually do a part. Well, we did do sort of the beginner tournament, or when it was the training cup that we did way back when we were first in Traverse Town. But basically, it obviously uses the whole card mechanic of Chain of Memories, except it's more sort of flick-based. Originally on the 3DS, you did literally flick the cards upwards from the 3DS's bottom screen onto the top screen for the Dream Eaters to use. And that was quite fun, but obviously in the PS4 version it's literally just sort of clicking selecting and going that route. Obviously the idea is that you've got to use cards of a higher value to either damage your opponent or defend against your opponent, so the highest card total wins. And then what you obviously don't want is that there's a star, and the star's the highest possible ranking, and it can screw you over if you, end up getting screwed over by it. There is a whole other thing, which is if you manage to successfully defend against an attack, then you can get a special card, which generally they're really useful. And if you're going for the star ranks on every single battle, which is what you need to do in order to get a special Keyblade, then they're sort of your best route for succeeding, because you need to star rank every single battle, and I believe that the best ones are things like Elixir, because they'll kind of fully heal your party. Because what you're ranked on is, I believe, remaining health, number of attacks blocked, and sort of damage dealt. So there's a lot going on there. Obviously you can switch at any time, obviously you've got to load up cards if you've run out of them, and also there's the action gauge and all of that jazz. In the original 3DS version there was a wireless battle feature, so you could challenge each other to Flick Rush battles. All you needed was wireless communication on 3DS and a copy of KH3D, and yes, then you were able to take them down, which would have been maybe a slightly fun distraction, had I had any friends who had Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance at the same time as me, but that's fine, it is okay. So now I suppose that next thing to go through is sort of all of the different cards that you can have. So each Dream Eater has a different selection of cards that they can work with. But a lot of them have sort of the same icons, but they have slightly different names depending on which Dream Eater you're using. So for the attack card, you got one which is sort of like a blue kind of line swirl with 2 stars on it, which is either Bon Appetit, Bunny Flurry, Claw Combo, Heavy Flurry, Horn Combo, Multi-Rang, Panda Punch, Poison Whip, Ribbit Combo, Scratch Fest, Snap Combo, Thorn Whip, or Yogi Flurry. Whew! There's one which is sort of like a pink explosion with 2 stars, which is either Buy Slice, Capture Shot, Double Chop, Force of July, Hind Quarter Kick, Lunging Scratch, Reverse Kick, Spike, Bounce, Twin Boomerang. You then have sort of 2 sets of jaws with a sort of blue swirl in the middle, which is either Auralunge, Chomp, Dino Bite, or Slurp and Burp. There's one of sort of like a sort of fireball hitting like a blue shield, which is Bat Tackle, Bombardier, Sarah Uppercut, Ear Slingshot, Fisherpult, Floor Dive, Glide Rush, Glow Spin, Headlong Dash, Heavy Needle, Horn Drive, Horn Rush, Kuma Tackle, Miasmic Maul, Quake Rush, Ribbit Tornado, Spike Spin, Psy Uppercut, Teleport Rush, Toboggan, Tri-Slice, Vampire Strike, or Yogi Strike. It's kind of ridiculous. There's one which is a green Shuriken Swirl with 2 blue swirls around it, which is either Bee Bunny, Burning Rubber, Chomp Around, Dino Tap, Glow Roll, Prickle Spin, Propeller Strike, Spiral Slam, Stumble Pow, Side Drill, Tail Fin Slash, and Triplet Spin. You then have one which is like an arrow pointing upwards, and it's delightful, which is Aura Dive, Agile Bump, Dig Dynamo, Flying Chef, Horn Bounce, Ice Dive, Mimi Hammer, Pin Cushion, Quadra Slice, Rear Ender, Rib Assault, or Vertical Dive. You then got one which is kind of a blob flying into sort of a fiery explosion, which is either Danger Dice, Feather Laser, Feather Missile, Feather Shuriken, Go 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 Sling, Horn Shot, Icicle Toss, Shell Throw, Torso Shot, or Vulcan Strafe. Then you've got like a purple tentacle hitting something for Dino Tail, Land Swimmer, or Tailfin Slap. And then you have a red swirl shuriken with 2 sort of red pinky swirls around it, which is Triple Hop Kick. That's all of your attack cards. In terms of healing card, you have one which is sort of your Cure Leaf, so it's either Cure, Cura, Curaga, or Healing Dance. And then there's one which is sort of like an arrow with a bunch of bubbles around it, which is Bubble Brain. There's then some status cards that afflict status ailments. So there's a sort of Poisonous Gloop one, which is Poison or Poison Tongue. One with an arrow pointing down, which is Slow, Mini, Lockdown Shot, Slobber, Tongue Tie, Vine Binder. There's a kind of a speed bubble with zzz, you know, the sleepy one. So Sleep, Sleeper, Sleepger, Dozer Mine, or Yawn Starter. There is a clock with, well, it's just a clock, which is Stop. And then there's one which is sort of like a couple of lines as if something vanished, because it's Vanish. Then there are a lot of magic attacks. So Little Fireball could either be Fire, Faraga, Dark Faraga, Blistering Orb, Dragon Blast, F Minor, Fire Shot, Flamethrower, Heavy Fire, Red Hot Chili, Spitfire, or Yogi Fire. There's one which is like an explosion for Time Bomb, Air Raid, Bomb Roll, Dino Breath, Doomdelion, Dragon's Breath, Firebomb, Heavy Burst, Mortar, Ribbit Flambe, or Toxic Doomdelion. There is then sort of 2 lightning bolts hitting a little mini swirl for Thunder, Thundara, Thundaga, Laser Blast, Musical Bolt, Musical Jolt, or Thunder Shot. You've then got 2 slightly more crazy lightning bolts coming from a swirl and sort of exploding for Electrosphere, Ikazuchi Prime, or Lightning Charge. There's one which is basically like a little black hole swirl type thing for Zero Gravity, Zero Gravira, Zero Graviga, or Degen Moon. One kind of water droplet, Aqua Raid, Bubble Launch, or Power Spout. 3 water droplets is Bubble Mark 2 or Torrent. A sort of separated snowflake for Blizzard, Blizzara, Blizzaga, Blizzard Shot, Ice Spear, Icicle Dive, or Icy Reflux. A more connected snowflake for Frozen Breath or Ice Breath. You then sort of got a Air Whoosh, which is either Double Cutter, Kamai Tachi Prime, Sonic Roar, or Space Bender. There's then sort of like a Boulder, which is Boulder Smash or T-Table Flip. Then you've got the Spark icon, which is either Sparkra, Spark-Gur, or Refract Beam. There's then a sort of pink swirl with a ring around it and 2 arrows going around it, which is Bubble Mine, Hot Potatoes, Item Toss, Mind Control, Mousetrap, Poison Mine, or Sneak Attack. You've then got sort of a bunch of icicles, which is Deep Freeze, the balloons for Balloon, Balloonra, or Balloonga. There's sort of 2 diamondy looking things for Quinty Slice. There's a Tornado for Cyclone Charge. There's a sort of big impacty type thing for Bender Slam. There's a kind of charging Fireball for Blast Orb, and there's some charging kind of like icicles for Falling Spear. That's all of those. In terms of other cards, you've got a sort of 2 arrows in a circle, which is Heavy Berserk, Liftoff, Rage Mode, or Red Rage. You've then got a swirl basically tooting out 2 musical notes for Musical Swarm, Supersonics, or Yogi Sonic. And then there's a curious swirl with sort of like 3 dots around it on a ring, which is Scan. Then you have the Evolved cards. The Evolved cards are the ones that give you the super special moves, which are really, really useful. 2 of them, well, 3 of them in particular, actually. So there's Faith, which is a globe with 2 sort of rings around it, which deals light attribute damage to the opponent and recovers HP based on the damage dealt, so it can be very useful. Dark Mist, which is basically a Dark Mist, which deals dark attribute damage to the opponent and covers the opponent's touchscreen in a black fog, obviously not that useful in this situation. And then you have an Elixir, which recovers HP and cards to the player's entire party, so that can be really useful. You then have that same Icicle thing for Ice Zone, which deals attribute damage to the opponent and freezes their touchscreen. On the 3DS version, 3 Lightning Bolts attacking a swirl is Thundaga, which deals thunder attribute damage to the opponent and shocks their touchscreen. Sort of loads of mini explosiony stuff for Mega Flare, deals fire attribute damage to the opponent's entire party, so everyone. So Mega Flare is really useful. And then you got Waterga, which is deals attribute damage, water attribute damage to the opponent and submerges the opponent's touchscreen in water. So basically the 3 that you really want to be making use of is anything that has Faith, anything that has Elixir, and anything that has Mega Flare, because they are really, really useful special attacks. I'm going to see if these things are going to be particularly useful to me. Yes, so if you want any Dream Eater to use Faith in this, you need to be either using a Tarmasheep, a Kuma Panda, a Pegaslick, a Howlbird, a Flabbermeow, or an Auralion. I'd go with the Pegaslick personally, because they can, as you are seeing here, the Pegaslick can be very useful in battle. When it comes to the Elixir, you're basically looking at Meow Wow, Meanie Bunny, Ducky Goose, or Fruits Cat. They're sort of your key ones for that. I think everything in the Meow Wow line also has it, but doesn't state that here. And then, last but not least, you have Mega Flare. Quite a few Dream Eaters can use this as their evolved command. So you've got Yogi Ram, Pricklemane, Heavy Rep, Chef Kairu, Tatsu Blaze, E-Glider, Drill Sai, Tyranto Rex, Ryu Dragon, Drac Quack, and Ursus Circus. So you've got a lot of options for these things. I do a pretty terrible job at making use of the evolved commands throughout this. I think I do perhaps get slightly better when we're into the sort of second half class towards the end of the whole thing, because that's sort of when I started to really get to grips with how the whole system worked. And potentially, I think had I had the patience, I probably could have gone through and star ranked everything, but as you know, I've said, I don't have that patience. I mean, as you can see, I've now brought in the Meow Wow so that I've got my my triple glorious special attacks when I do the evolved command stuff. But because for actually the majority of the early stage Flick Rush tournaments, you can pretty much get away with just using regular attacks as long as you charge them up. There are certain attacks which are really helpful for slaughtering enemies. Dino Tail is an absolute godsend. Also, I believe Dino Breath is really useful, because the animations for those go on for quite a long time, so you generally get a lot more damage off on your enemies during that, because they don't have enough time to bring in enough attack cards to either block you or beat you up. So there is a lot of how shall I put it? There are tactics involved in this, and you do have to think quite carefully. And am I? Yes. So we have finally switched in Veronica, which I think this is pretty much going to be my dream team for the rest of the tournaments. They all unlock, depending on your Flick Rush kind of total, I suppose. And I just need to clarify that whole shebang, because it's one thing I haven't talked about, and you know, I'm just going through every possible thing that I can think of, because obviously we are here for a relatively large chunk of time, and it doesn't tell me. That is helpful. So I'm going to have to go to a different source, but that is fine. It just means that I've now got to try and find the bit that tells you how to unlock them all, because I'm pretty sure I saw. There we go. That's the table I wanted. So you get the training cup from the off. You get the beginner cup from finishing the training cup. The digital cup comes from finishing the grid. Rainbow cup comes from finishing Prankster's Paradise. Yummy Cup comes from finishing the second visit to Traverse Town. Final Cup comes from finishing Symphony of Sorcery. Tin Pin Cup comes from finishing the Rainbow Cup. Speed Cup comes from finishing the Rainbow Cup as well. Then Horror Cup comes from reaching rank 15 in Flick Rush. And Secret Cup comes from reaching rank 17 in Flick Rush. So it's... those are really the last two are the only ones that require you to do a lot of Flick Rush in order to unlock them. Generally, if you get roughly around A ranks throughout most of your fights, then you're likely to get up to rank 15 quite easily, because the rank is pretty much associated with your overall ranking in the battles. So in order to get to, I think probably the max you can get is level 20, And to do that, you would need to get stars across everything. And also there's obviously the prizes as well, so basically you need to go off of those in order to unlock things. So yeah, the annoyance is that in order to get the Sweet Dreams Keyblade, you, I believe, need to get a star ranking on every single match in the tournaments to get the gold prize. Because, as you will see, I am going to win every match in the tournaments. Because of course I am, because, I mean, we are here. And I'm going to kill it. But I didn't unlock the Keyblade. I mean, I could have been doing something wrong, I don't know. But I think there is also the potential that you might have to do this with both XGamerRichy. I don't know. It's one of the things that I've not really investigated, and don't think I ever will properly investigate, because honestly I cannot be bothered with that, because it's not worth it. I'm not that much of a crazy person. So I suppose as we head towards the last 10-15 minutes, it's probably your key technique. So one of the guys that I'm looking at right now says specifically what you should try to do is use 3 spirits that have their special command as Faith. So options are like Aura Lion or the Halberd, and then use either the Kuma Panda or Pegaslick. So the idea that you want to go with early on is just defend and then strike back with Faith to deal damage and heal HP. So basically you slide all 4 cards on, all 1-star card, with the highest value going first. Whilst the defense is going up, begin to reload your deck, and basically then you should then be able to get Faith relatively easily. And because obviously it causes damage and it heals everyone's HP, it does tend to help. So your offensive tactics should generally be Faith. Though you do have the potential issue of opponents being able to defend just long enough to avoid it. So if they have a defense up, blast through it with something else, and then bring in the Faith, or go the opposite way around of just sort of going in and murdering. Otherwise, just reload or use a basic curative command. When you're on the offense, you also want to try on occasion to use 2 to 4 card chains with attacks that, yeah, they take a long while to attack. So something like Claw Combo with Aura Lion, because that allows for at least half a stage of reload of your cards. There are, however, many occasions, specifically in the 2 final cups, the Horror and the Secret Cups, where your offences are kind of completely negated. Even if you like your 20 plus in terms of the power. But the key thing that you want to know is that the computer can be a sod. It'll fool you into going along by trying high power offences and then just slide a star card in there as if it kind of just can do that. But it's a pain, but it is something that over time you do get used to, and it isn't too bad. I mean, I'd say pretty much all of the cups up to the horror cup and the secret cup are pretty easy. Like, they might have some slightly challenging fights within them, but there's never anything overly terrifying. And yeah, you're able to see some of the stats in here, because I wasn't the how shall I put this? I didn't edit the hell out of the flick rush part. Reason being was because I was just like, no, can't do this. Just need to chill, because I'm gonna have a hell of an edit when it comes to the other parts, and I couldn't face it. Also, I will say, my brain is going slightly crazy from hearing this song. I'm sure it's potentially going to drive you slightly crazy as well, because, oh boy! I mean, it did whilst I was playing the game, to be fair. It's a great track. It's really enjoyable, but, oh boy! It, does drone on a bit. We are going to get more variety in my speed up music going forward, because that's just the way it worked. And also, I have to say, it's quite fun watching this whole thing move out in, at times, a bit of a slideshow from where my perspective is, because of the way that I record my commentary. I record it within my video editor. So the frame rate sometimes like chugs dramatically, which obviously it didn't do in the game. So at times I get like bits where like the frame rate just goes like, I'm all the way down to like 3 in my slideshow. And then I'm just like, did I miss a bit? I think I might have missed a bit, but it's fine. This is just the way it rolls. So unless anything dramatically was going on with my software whilst this was getting all rendered, it's fine. But I will say, because I didn't actually do much, if anything, of Flick Rush when I played originally on the 3DS, because it was just like, nah, this ain't my kind of thing. And then honestly, I did have quite a think when I was coming to do these extras, is this something I want to sit through and do? In the end, clearly I decided it was something I wanted to sit and do, because, I don't know, stubbornness, maybe? The fact that this isn't really something that you always get to see a huge amount of, and that's something that I've always kind of stuck to as a motivator behind it any time I do extras. Of just wanting to show people things that they maybe haven't seen, or different options for things. I don't know. I suppose in that sense I'm a bit of a weirdo. But that's why I've been doing this for like 10 years nearly, so yeah, it kind of happens. And oh look, I finally changed the music! I think because we are now into sort of the final stretch of this whole shtick, it was basically just like, no, I need to go something grandiose, because this is something like the final battle. It's basically the song that always plays in the final battles of a Flick Rush tournament. But as you will see throughout this, it can be pretty chaotic. And also, I've noticed that I've flung in the Beetle-like in there, our lovely beat-looking Zolophant. Although it might be Rhymophant. I don't even know anymore. I think it might be the Rhymophant, but yes, once again, it's one of those whole things of throwing in different Dream Eaters that we obviously haven't unlocked yet in terms of footage, but obviously they are here, because obviously I went and unlocked them. That was another thing. Do I go and try and pick up every single Dream Eater? Do I do that? Once again, the answer was yes, I'm going to go do that like a crazy person. Same with all of the special portals and all that jazz. And then I suppose it became entirely a point of stubbornness of, no, of course I'm going to do this, because I seriously want to, I don't know, prove something to myself. I do question my logic sometimes, but it means you're getting all sorts of fantastical content, if this is, you know, what you deem to be fantastical content. But yeah, this just takes me back to doing the Demon Gate trials in Okami, which I'll still remember as being the first time that actually I found out that you could. I was able to speed up footage in my video editor, because the longest time I thought I couldn't. I thought that was something that was exclusively available on the pro version of Sony Vegas. And then someone was just like, no, you can do it on the regular one. I was just like, oh, that was a moment that sort of was just, it was amazing. Made me so happy, made my day, it really did, that one. Because it meant that I've been able to do things like this, which ultimately I think if I didn't have that capability, I would not be doing extras parts like this. At all. I mean, the one that the batch that I did for Bayonetta 2 was kind of insane, actually. That was a lot of extras. That did nearly drive me up the wall. So, not replicating that? Probably for the best. But yeah, we've got a couple of fun ones. The biggest fun one is going to be that special portal one. But I will have things to talk about, hopefully. They're not going to be specifically Kingdom Hearts 3 related, because, I mean, obviously, not quite there yet, and I think this might be a death on my part. Oh yes. That was a failure. But it's fine, because you can just go straight back in and retry. I mean, one of the things that I think I also saw somewhere is people do potentially suggest a triple Meowjesty approach to Flick Rush, because I think that their evolved command is the elixir, so you can basically just keep going with that. Obviously getting in a few attacks every now and again, but that's sort of a pretty good approach to the whole thing. But as you can see, it's definitely going a lot better for me this time than it was the first time round. Though they still do like to bring out their stars, which is just really quite cruel. But hey, that's all of those Meowjesties defeated, and actually, it is time for the final of all of the Flick Rush tournaments. We are now back to regular speed. And I will say, I do quite like this arena. It's quite fun looking. Because obviously you've got loads of pictures of Dream Eaters on the wall. It's quite fun. And hilariously, this fight didn't go as terribly as I thought it potentially would do. Because I thought that I would end up, you know, having to retry this one, and clearly, as you can see, didn't actually end up happening, despite the fact that, you know, it kept deciding that he was going to be that much of a sod. But it's okay, because we are going to come out of this on top. It's just going to take me a little while. This is the part where sort of the end bit here is just going to last a little bit longer than everything else. Because I felt, you know, actual finale, let's just go full pelt with everything. And just make it nice and spectacular and real time, so that you can see that this is why the fight ended up taking longer than it perhaps would have done otherwise. Because these fights are not quick, let's put it that way. And I have to say, the whole thing's going really well. I mean, like, Elle and Connor have been an absolute... They've been gems throughout this entire thing. And honestly, I don't think I would have gotten through it without them. So, I guess we can kind of say that Legally Blonde Musical and Dear Evan Hansen are the overall musical victors. From the Flick Rush tournament. I can't remember what I ended up calling that particular Zolifant. Different one that I can't remember the name of what the type is, but it's fine, because that's the power of a Mega Flare. Which was great. Oh, I called him Donald. It's because I was going on a Disney train at that point. So, you are going to see a lot of Disney being brought up. I will say, sort of, as we reach the close of this, Flick Rush can be frustrating because there is a lot of luck involved as to what cards you get. More so than, obviously, anything that you had in Shade of Memories with your selection. But, still, it is okay. Because, we have still come out victorious, just about, and that makes me really very happy. Although obviously I would like to come out of this without anybody dying, and they haven't died, and that's amazing. So yes, that I do believe is every single battle in Flick Rush beaten. Obviously not completed, but oh boy, I could not do that to myself. It wasn't gonna happen. So, thank you very much. Oh, we do get the Keyblade. Oh, I didn't realise we did. Okay, we do. That's good. I'm happy with that.